part of what we need to do in our culture is to remember those that we've lost and talk about them and remember the good times and not treat it like it's a taboo subject. And too many people are alienated these days. And if grief makes people feel like, I got to isolate from that person. I don't want to take a chance of hitting the button and making them cry. I don't want to hurt them.
Yes.
That's all we want to do is talk about the people we love, And so
I love that
we do have to say their name. Yeah. We have to talk about it and keep it alive.
Good afternoon, and welcome back to the Same Business, Different Day podcast. I am your host, Zeke Corley. And as you guys know, sometimes we're going to do return guests this season, every couple of shows. And one of my favorites is back today. One of the few three-timers on this show. That's right. The one that taught us to be magnetic and sticky in business. Chris Ryan is back with us, my friend. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Thanks for having me back. I appreciate it.
I'm glad to have you back, man. So we did a couple last year. It was March. And then you were as a guest co-host in August as well on the John Sanders episode, Saunders episode. But we would encourage people to go back and listen because especially that magnetic and sticky episode was awesome, man. I really enjoyed the chance to sit down with you. First of all, just, we talked music. We talked so much, right? We talked business. We talked transitions. But we talked, we really just got a chance to kind of bounce around radio chops too. So
good old days.
Yeah, that's what I remember there, man. And I love the roadmap you took us on through those DJ days also. But in flashing back to that episode, I went back and listened to it. I think everybody else should too. It was really good. One of the quotes that I loved that pulled from there that you said was, if you hate your job, it'll always be a job. I love that. And then we talked a little bit about transitions and how, you got laid off at one point in time and you had to go out and pound some pavement.
That's right.
So I think a question that I might have for you in both of those quotes is more about, do you regret, would you have changed anything back in those days, the business decisions, the jobs that you took on and the job that you lost even? Would you have never worked for them in the first place? How did you use those experiences even going forward?
Yeah. And so, you're talking to somebody that's nearing retirement. So I have a lot of perspective on my career and all the different twists and turns, but I don't think I would necessarily regret or redraw any of the paths. I feel like I've built on every single aspect of my career. So, being in media and radio helped with certain things. Plus, I loved it because I love music, and it exposed me to going to all kinds of free concerts and meeting all of my heroes. And then getting into marketing and advertising gave me that strategic approach to communication and messaging and audience segmentation. And, how do you push the right button to get people to do what you want them to do? And that led right into the video thing. So it all made sense. There was even this weird, job I had for a couple of years where I was managing a pool company. And if you were to lay out a timeline of my career, you'd probably look at that and say, oh, that's an oddball move. Why'd you do that?
Yeah.
But it ended up being something that I was very, I applied the information that I needed later because I worked in a B2B capacity at an ad agency where I needed to know a lot of technical information about hydraulics because our client was a pump manufacturer. So I need to know what head pressure was and all these different, and they hired me and it's like, how did you learn about all this stuff? Because I'd be interviewing engineers,
Yes.
And I did manage a pool company for a couple of years. I know a lot about how pools work. Yeah. So it just, everything, builds if you just keep moving forward.
Everything, everywhere.
It's a progression, life is a progression.
Yeah. And I mean, as long as you're continuing to learn, right? You're picking up, using that education.
Follow that instinct of, what should I be doing next? Be listening to that voice and be looking for opportunities, and don't say yes to everything that knocks on your door. But every once in a while, you'll get a weird left field call, and it's like, I hadn't thought of that, but it kind of makes sense. I have to check that out.
Yeah. I've had conversations with you like that, and I like that about you too, that you're an open listener. Where we, have just kind of just brainstormed on some things, and you were certainly like, well, tell me more, or tell me why I might be interested in that. At least let's have a conversation about it. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Yeah, I love it. And it goes without saying that you're a relationships guy, and that's been so helpful in your business and Ryan Video Productions, and hopefully throughout your life. Certainly, as a friend of mine, I'd say you're a good relationships guy. And so that's why it's so important to congratulate you on this award that I heard about over there in Carlsbad.
Oh, yeah.
The Kind Company Inspiration Award. Is that what it was called?
That's right. Yeah.
The first one. The first
year they gave one away. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Congratulations. Can you tell me a little bit about that recognition?
Well, there's an organization called Kids for Peace, and they have the Great Kindness Challenge. And it's really for school-aged children. But it started with a woman in Carlsbad. She took it national, then she took it global. So she's used to being able to, scale up ideas, especially if they're good, kindness. Everybody can get behind that, right?
Sure.
So she and the CEO of the Carlsbad Chamber thought, maybe we should do a kindness challenge for businesses and certify them as a kind company.
A challenge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's the Kind Company certification. So the challenge was school children around the world learning how to bond, and they, have created all these different things. But the Great Kindness Challenge was kind of a school kid thing, and I can't really speak to it in great detail, but the idea is, doing these little manifesting acts of kindness, and do that all the time. So it's a challenge for everybody. Every day we should be challenged to be kind. But the business thing was a certification of kind of like green businesses, when they're environmentally friendly. Yes. Okay, there's certain things you got to do, right? And so this is the same kind of thing. You have to treat your people well. You have to treat the environment well, and you have to do things in your community that help build up your community. So at the end of 1 year, they sent out a self-certification survey, and everybody filled it out. I didn't know that there was any kind of competition going on. I just self-certified, told them what I was doing, and it turned out that, what I gave them was enough that they would say, well, we want to recognize this company for the CBAT Awards, which is the business awards. Every year they give away awards in Carlsbad. So, there were certain things that I had done last year that really, and I can go into more detail about that.
But I mean,
it's just a way of behaving, you just try to live your life and be kind and do the right thing.
Yeah. So what's been going on since with Ryan Video Productions? How are things since we last spoke?
Well, sold the business.
Okay. Yeah. And so that's one thing that I'm absolutely interested in getting into. And the reason why is because I think that kind of a conversation is also good for the audience, right?
Yeah.
We make decisions along the way. And like you're saying, you're headed towards retirement now. And, there are many folks who will be grateful to be at your young age and be headed towards retirement. But there's still some work that needs to be put in along the way, right? First, developing your business to a point where someone, it's something that people want. And then also the, negotiating and talking to the various people about, what you're going to do with my clientele, right? Because that's one thing. Like you've got this book of business and people that trust and, have good relationships with you. But also, what's it going to look like for us financially? What are you going to do with this business going forward? And keep that good name. So what's the thought process through all of that?
Well, I didn't want to sell the business and just walk away, because I feel, first of all, responsibility and continuity with my clients to make sure that they're taken care of through a transition period. And so there'll be a period of time, a year or two, where I'll still be involved, but I'm not going to be actively like doing all the videography and editing. So the good thing is that the company that purchased Ryan Video, Go Be Rewarded, they already do videos. They do social media. They do websites. They already have a team of people. Many of them went to film school. So they're looking to do some more stuff, some more video work. And they needed more to do. And I needed more capacity because I had been working my butt off for the last few years.
Yeah.
And so getting to the point where it's like, oh, you know what? At this age, I don't mind not carrying that 60-pound, camera case around and all the other stuff. So yeah, I'm going to still be in the business, and I'm still going to be the face of the business for this transition period. I just want to make sure that people are taken care of and that there's a smooth transition. So I don't know if that answers your question or not.
Sure. Well, I mean, even, one step further, and I'm not asking for any numbers, but how do you know when you've gotten your value? Again, for these folks who might consider selling their business and making some sort of a transition.
Well, if you are thinking that you have a business that might be a prospect for sale, there's a few different people you might want to talk to. There are business brokers. And then there are other people who can be more consultants. And then there's the legal part of it, which is, hey, how do we structure this deal so that it works for everybody and that I'm not going to, nobody gets the short end of the stick, right?
Right.
So I talked to a couple of business consultants. I also looked up multipliers. So if you run a business, most businesses, retail, industrial, whatever, if they buy or sell businesses, then there's like an annual earnings rate. And then if you're going to sell that business, okay, the typical value is a multiplier of your annual sales or of your earnings before taxes or something like that. So I did the research and I realized what the valuation might be, which would be fair. And we came to an agreement with that. Through the help of a third party, the John Saunders, who you talked about a little bit earlier, he was kind of the matchmaker in this whole thing. I had told him, I whispered in his ear one day that, hey, I think I might be looking to sell if you know of anybody that's wanting to acquire a video business. And it just so happened he worked with Go Be Rewarded, and for that agency, that was a good fit for them.
Yeah.
Hello, friends. This is Joe Samo from the Samo Law Group. I am the host of Run It By My Lawyer. Over the years, I've had so many people that have had legal issues and legal questions and legal concerns. And I always have, over more than 20 years, I've been telling people, before you sign anything, before you do anything, if you have a problem, just run it by my lawyer, right? Just run it by me. And now I have a podcast doing just that. You can call me, you can email me, any questions you have. I love hearing from people and answering legal questions. And on our podcast, we've talked about everything from free speech, gun rights, anything you want to discuss, employment rights, everything. So you have an issue, run it by my lawyer and watch this podcast. You'll be entertained and you'll learn the law. Love to see you. You can find me anywhere, okay? YouTube, Spotify, Apple, whatever you want. And if you can't find me on some platform, let me know and I'll come find you. All right, thank you.
The Same Business Different Day podcast is brought to you by YourInsurancePlace.com. YourInsurancePlace.com is a conglomeration of two agencies, Network One Insurance and Bill Corley Insurance Agency. Their property and casualty agents and brokers specialize in commercial insurance of all types, general liability, workers' compensation, professional liability, auto, agribusiness, and much more. They also have great insurance carriers for your homes and autos. How do I know they are that good? Because I'm one of the agents. We believe in ourselves, and you will too. Contact us at yourinsuranceplace.com or call us direct at 866-384-0479. That's yourinsuranceplace.com.
San Diego beer lovers, come join us on the Pioneer Beer Trail. a free, narrated tour of 4 of Vista's iconic craft brewers, all from the convenience of your phone. Simply download the free show at vistamadetours.com or find Vista Made Tours on your favorite podcast provider, like Spotify or iTunes. Then fire up the show and you'll hear fascinating backstories, beer favorites, and food recommendations from the brewers themselves as you travel from spot to spot. It's free, fun, and the easiest way to learn about some of Vista's originals, including Booze Brothers, Belching Beaver 980, Aztec, and 5 Suits. So come travel the Pioneer Beer Trail at vistamadetours.com or from wherever you find your podcasts.
Yeah. And I love the level of responsibility you feel, though, to your clients.
Oh, yeah. My name's on it.
Yeah. And not just walking, running away the other direction,
Right.
But you will get some time for yourself, right? To do some traveling, right?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, next month, my wife and I are going to go over to Europe. We haven't been on a vacation like that for 4 years since I started the business 4 or 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. So this will be, a really long awaited. Plus, after the whole pandemic lockdown, it's like, whew, you got to get out of town.
That's right.
The timing is good. We'd actually already booked this trip before I sold the business. So this is now even more of a reward,
I love it. Yeah. Shout out to Sin.
Yeah.
Now,
thank you.
You guys had been, I want to go back to the show that we did together, the first episode that we did.
Yeah.
One of the things that you told me after the show is we talked a little bit about Sean. We talked about him being proud of you after that show.
And Sean is my son.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And who you lost. Yeah. And so the thing for me is that, one of the conversations that you and I had was to make sure to bring up his name. You mentioned that if you've got a memory of him, then to speak of him because it's helpful to the parents as well.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's why I'm bringing it up. And so, but help me wrap my head around that because, it's tough for me, speaking of him. And so I just want to, first of all, obviously, tell you how sorry I am for your loss and tell you that, I'm your friend and I'm here with you. But I also wanted to bring it up to kind of reinforce that pride.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Because I think that conversation that we had that first time, it was a special conversation, where you opened up. And I'm glad that he saw that as well.
Yeah, I'm really proud that he took the time to watch that episode because he learned things about his dad. And you know how it is when you're a kid. You oftentimes don't ask your parents anything about what was it like when you were a kid? I mean, when you're young, and my son was, a typical kid, maybe even more independent than most and more, strong-willed and off on his own. And so, I didn't have, I don't think a really inquisitive mind when he was a younger child. But when he turned around 20 or 21, he was, interested and he watched that because he loves YouTube. And so watching video is kind of cool that, hey, that's my dad on TV.
Right.
So yeah, it was really it was a proud moment for me to have him say, I never knew half of that stuff in your life. You really had a cool life.
Yeah.
You were in the radio. You interviewed Frank Zappa. I love Frank Zappa. So yeah, it was really nice. And I got to say, I appreciate you bringing up his name, even though it's kind of a scary topic for me to talk about emotionally. And yet I love talking about it. I just don't know how I'm going to react from moment to moment.
Yeah.
But I think part of what we need to do in our culture is to remember those that we've lost and talk about them and remember the good times and not treat it like it's a taboo subject. And too many people are alienated these days. And if grief makes people feel like, I got to isolate from that person, I don't want to take a chance of hitting the button and making them cry. I don't want to hurt them.
Yes.
You know, that's all we want to do is talk about the people we love, you know? And so
I love that
we do have
perspective.
to say their name. Yeah. We have to talk about it and keep it alive.
Mm-hmm. I'm so happy that when you said that, I really was. And, you know, I remember one time you bringing them to a mixer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it was with the Vista Chamber of Commerce.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the one time I met him. So, but I know what you mean, though, when it comes to kids, you know, except for the stories that my dad tells over and over about his life. You know, if I guarantee you, if he sat into a format or forum where he'd have to like break it all down, he'd be telling different stories and stuff that I hadn't heard before. So I'm also glad. Now, you know, but that perspective that you have is clear that you've got some support around you. You know, let me say this. In this season, as with these return guests, one of the other things that we kind of focus on is mental health, right? And so I love the fact that you got some support around you, even if it's for a different subject, for your reason for your mental health than, you know, somebody else is triggered, but it's still people around you that you can have conversations with. Yeah. I understand that you've even you went to a convention recently. Where
grief counseling.
Yeah. So, what's that like been, you know, those kind of conventions, like how does that go? Like how do those conversations go? How do you find, you know, that camaraderie there?
Well, when you're with a group of people that have been through something similar, whether it's the loss of a child or, you know, whatever might be the traumatic event in your life, support groups are a great way to feel like you're not alone. And it's also a great way to talk to people who are on the same kind of frequency as you, so that it's not, you don't get the weird questions like, you know, some people just don't know what to say. So they say goofy things like, just get over it. You know, they don't get it. So going to a conference like that, it gives you tools. You know, I did learn some really good things and tools of how to feel connected to my son, and at the same time, how to manage my life and continue to look for the beauty every day and look for things that connect me to him. You know, like I hear a song on the radio and I'll think of him, and it'll, you know, I might get emotional and shed a tear, but I'm feeling like it's he and I yelling and belting that song out.
Yeah.
So, and the business community has really been surprisingly empathetic, more than even my own family. You know, family can be one, and we learned this at this conference, is family can be one of the hardest places to find comfort in a time of loss and grief, especially if they don't know how to handle it and they don't know what to say. So they're afraid. So they stay their distance.
Yeah.
I'll let them reach out to me when they're ready. I don't want to intrude. This is their time of grief. Well, you know, sometimes we don't want to be just left alone, but we're not actively calling and saying, "Hey, I need help. I feel bad today." Right. You know, you just want people to like you do. You've been texting me like every month or so. You say, "Just how you feeling today?" Yeah. You know, that's what people need. Is we just need to look in on each other.
Yeah,
and that's where technology can bridge the gap. You know,
I like that.
Through
I didn't know
social media or text or a phone call, whatever it is.
If that helps or not,
it makes me know that we're connected. You know, we have a heart connection there, just because I know you were thinking. Yeah. You were thinking about me.
And that's the reason why I text.
Appreciate
because I'm thinking about you. I don't know what effect that has, and I appreciate it.
Like it. Yeah. Do more of it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We should do that with, I mean, not just you and me. I mean, this is, and again, going back to the kindness thing, tuning in to what's needed around you in the world, whether that's helping your community or helping another business or just helping a human being. You know, we need to tune in a little bit to each other. And I think the world will be a better place.
I love it. I appreciate you saying all of that, man. I really appreciate you sharing. And I'm really, and I mentioned this to you last time we had lunch. I love the way that you're educating yourself too. It seems that because of how you are with, again, back to the relationships, you're doing it not just for yourself, but I think you can help build others up with what you're learning. And so I asked you, I don't know if you remember me asking you if you're going to write a book.
No, it's interesting. Met with one of the people that I met with in this whole journey was a psychic medium who kind of, works in the spiritual realm.
Sure.
And that thing about writing a book came up. Right. I still don't really have anything in my head. Like I don't have an outline. I'm not feeling driven yet to do it.
Sure.
But you're not the first person to say that.
Right on.
But, I will say one thing, I know you like quotes, and one thing that I heard during this conference, and I think it's applicable to everybody, whether you're grieving or you just, having a hard time at business one day, whatever it is.
Please.
I love metaphors because I think nature and God gives us lessons throughout the earthly existence. And in the animal world, the buffalo, when they're seeing a huge storm coming across the plains, their nature has them as a herd run into that storm. That's what they do. And the reason is because they know that they're going to get through it faster. And so the quote that came from this particular author, David Kessler, who wrote a couple of wonderful books, and he's done a lot of work on death and dying with Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, was a pioneer in that area. But he said, what we run from pursues us. What we face transforms us. So don't let the fear be what keeps you from being what you can be. Yeah. And grief is a scary thing, but I feel like I'm educating myself and I'm trying to run into that storm so that I can get through the hard part a little bit faster.
Yes, sir. I'm happy for you, man. Can we shout out Barrio Glassworks?
Oh, yeah.
We should shout them out, right? That's a local business who's
I've got some of their work in my pocket.
Yeah.
What do you know about this?
Well, from what I understand, you're putting together a bench at the house. And there will be some pieces of this glass that, you took me over by the place, and it's beautiful, the work that they've got going on. It's awesome out there. If anybody gets a chance, go to Carlsbad and check out Barrio Glassworks. Yeah. But this piece right here, from what I understand, each of those pieces of glass has some Sean's ashes in them.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit of sparkle and some of his essence, the ashes. Now, this is not, it's not something that they offer. I kind of had to pull some strings. I don't know that anybody would be able to walk in there and, have a similar thing. Yeah. I just go to talk to them. I don't know. But they did this for me on a commission basis because they knew that we wanted to. And there are people that actually do this for, we heard about the idea of pets. That people send ashes in and people will make glass objects out of their pets, cremated remains. Yeah. Dealing with human remains is a little bit different. Yes. And so, but I knew Mary and Gary down there, and I asked her if she'd be willing to do this. So yeah, we're going to make a bench, and these are going to be some of the mosaic tiles in that bench. And it'll be kind of a memorial meditation bench for us, but it's beautiful. It's got some of my son's favorite colors, and that way we'll be able to keep him close by.
I love it. And I wasn't necessarily giving an advertisement that they will do this for you guys, but absolutely check out Barrio Glassworks.
They do beautiful
work. And I love
work,
what they've done for you. Now traveling, going to Europe. Yeah. I love this. More conventions. Staying in touch, right? I'll be able to reach you while you're out there traveling, I hope.
Yeah, if you need to, I'll be checking my phone. Yeah, we're going to go to France. You'd love it because we're going to go on a wine river cruise through Provence, so Burgundy, and there's going to be a lot of good wine being tasted on board.
That's awesome.
And the cool thing is every night they stop at a different port, these little villages along the Seine River. No, the Rhone River Valley. But what they do is they'll pull in local musicians to play on board the boat for dinner. Okay. So you get like the local flavor of some, musicians from that village. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Dinner, and I like music and wine. I know you like both. So
yeah, and food.
Yeah. Beautiful. Once again, shout out to Sin. Congratulations on
We
the
should
sale.
tell people
Please.
that's Sin is my wife, Cynthia.
Yes.
Because a lot of people say sin. Why are you guys celebrating sin?
Yeah.
They say sinful behavior is not biblical.
No.
Well, it's not
CYN.
that. It's
CYN.
CYN, my wife, and she, my partner in the business and my partner in life. So I appreciate that. I'll pass that along to her.
Oh yeah, please send her our love. Congratulations on the sale of the business.
Thank you.
And the direction that you're headed. And again, the education and the steps you're continuing to take. I look up to you, man. I really love the path that you're on and the strength that you carry. And so, anytime we can get together and talk, it's just a pleasure for me.
It's a gift for me to be with you here, but then also to be your friend. And anytime I can help anybody, I mean, I love feeling like I have anything to share. You like to be a mentor, right?
Yes.
We all want to be mentors. We want to be important and helpful to somebody. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I value your friendship very much. I look up to you as well.
Right on, man. Right on, man. Love you, Chris.
Love you too, brother.
Same business, different day.
Thank you for listening to Same Business, Different Day. We truly appreciate your support. Please like, subscribe, and leave a nice comment on all platforms. It really helps our show. The Same Business, Different Day podcast is produced by A Different Day Radio, Star Fox Media, and James Russell.